Real feelings rarely begin with a confession. They begin with a change you can feel before you can explain it. Someone who was simply attracted to you may slowly start treating you differently, and the difference is often hidden in ordinary moments. They become more emotionally invested, more intentional, more vulnerable, and more willing to make space for you. And once you know what to look for, these subtle changes can reveal when attraction is quietly becoming something much deeper. Sign 1. Your feelings start matter more than their own experience of you. Attraction is often centered around how someone feels when they're with you. They enjoy your presence, your attention, your personality, and the excitement of being close to you. But when those feelings begin developing into something more genuine, their attention can gradually shift from simply enjoying what you give them to becoming interested in what the connection feels like for you. They may start remembering what makes you uncomfortable, noticing when something affects your mood, or thinking twice before doing something that could make you feel pressured. For example, maybe you once casually mentioned that you hate being rushed into important decisions. A few weeks later, when you're facing a choice, they don't push you for an answer. Instead, they tell you, take your time. You don't have to decide right now. It may seem like a tiny moment, but it can reveal a significant emotional shift. They're no longer thinking only about how to get closer to you. They're beginning to consider what being close to them feels like from your side. That's one reason this can indicate developing feelings rather than simple attraction. Attraction can make someone want your presence, but deeper feelings can make your emotional experience matter to them. And once that shift begins, another question naturally appears. Are they willing to actually protect the connection they're building with you? Sign 2. They start treating the connection like something worth protecting. Someone can be attracted to you and still be careless with the connection. They may enjoy intense conversations, make exciting plans, or show strong interest when they're in the mood. But consistency isn't always part of attraction. When feelings begin developing, however, the relationship itself can start becoming something they consciously protect. They may become more intentional about following through on what they say, communicating when they're unavailable, or addressing awkward moments instead of allowing them to create unnecessary distance. Imagine someone who used to cancel plans casually whenever something more convenient came up. As their feelings become deeper, they might say, I can't make it tonight, but I don't want to leave you hanging. Can we do tomorrow instead? The important part isn't the exact words, it's the change in behavior. They're showing that maintaining the quality of the connection has started becoming important to them. They don't simply want moments with you, they want the relationship between those moments to remain healthy. Attraction can make someone chase intensity, but developing feelings can make someone value consistency. And when a person starts protecting the connection, they may eventually feel safe enough to reveal something much more personal. Sign 3. They slowly let you see the parts. They usually keep private. At the beginning of attraction, people often show the easiest version of themselves. They tell entertaining stories, talk about their interests, share their opinions, and naturally highlight the parts of their personality they feel confident about. But emotional development can slowly change that. As trust grows, they may begin sharing experiences, fears, mistakes, values, or personal struggles that they don't normally reveal to everyone. It might happen during an ordinary conversation when they suddenly tell you about something they've been carrying privately for years. Maybe someone who normally appears extremely confident admits that they sometimes struggle with feeling like they're not doing enough. Or someone who rarely talks about their past finally explains why a certain experience changed the way they see relationships. This doesn't automatically prove romantic feelings because people can open up for many reasons. But when vulnerability gradually becomes more natural between two people, it can reveal growing emotional trust. There's a meaningful difference between wanting someone to admire you and wanting someone to actually know you. Attraction can encourage a person to show you their best side, while developing feelings can make them increasingly comfortable, allowing you to see the imperfect side too. And once someone becomes interested in being truly known by you, another subtle transformation often follows. They stop being interested only in the version of you they first noticed. Sign 4. They become more interested in the real you than their idea of you. Sometimes attraction is built around an image. Someone notices certain qualities about you, and unconsciously creates a version of you in their mind that fits what they want. But deeper feelings can make that image less important and the real person more interesting. Instead of expecting you to behave exactly the way they imagined, they become curious about your actual personality, your values, your preferences, your ambitions, and even the parts of you that don't fit neatly into their expectations. Maybe they love going out while you prefer quiet evenings at home. Instead of constantly trying to convince you to become more social, they ask what you enjoy about having quiet time. Maybe your career goals are completely different from theirs, yet they genuinely want to understand why those goals matter to you. This kind of curiosity can be meaningful because genuine emotional investment isn't about creating a perfect version of someone. It's about discovering and understanding the person who actually exists. When someone starts becoming interested in your individuality instead of simply their fantasy of you, the relationship becomes more grounded in reality. And once reality enters the picture, differences become unavoidable, which makes the next sign one of the most revealing of all. Sign 5, disagreements start bringing out. More effort, not less. Anyone can appear deeply interested when everything is easy. The real test comes when something goes wrong. When feelings are developing, a person may gradually become more willing to understand your perspective instead of immediately trying to prove that they're right. They may become more open to admitting when they handled something badly, return to a difficult conversation after emotions settle, or look for a way to repair the situation instead of simply walking away from it. Imagine you disagree about something important and the conversation becomes tense. Instead of ending everything with "forget it," they later come back and say, "I don't think I handled that well. I want to understand what you were actually trying to say." That doesn't mean someone with genuine feelings will suddenly become perfect at communication. They can still become defensive, frustrated, or emotionally overwhelmed. The difference is that the relationship may become important enough for them to repair what went wrong. They don't necessarily avoid conflict. They become more interested in preventing one disagreement from destroying something they value. And that growing emotional consideration can eventually appear even when there isn't an argument at all, in the small choices they make every day. Sign 6, their choices naturally start taking you into account. Healthy emotional investment doesn't have to look like jealousy, control, or constant attention. In fact, one of the quieter signs can be the opposite. They begin considering you without trying to control you. Your preferences, boundaries, comfort, and circumstances may gradually become part of the way they make ordinary decisions. Maybe they know you have an important morning coming up, so they suggest doing something relaxing instead of keeping you out late. Maybe they remember that you don't like being pressured into decisions, so they give you time to think. Maybe they ask what you're comfortable with before making plans that affect both of you. These actions can seem almost insignificant, but they reveal something different from simple attraction. They're not just asking, "What do I want from this connection?" Their thinking is beginning to include another question. How will this affect the person I'm becoming attached to? That's consideration without control, and it can be a sign that their feelings are becoming more emotionally grounded. But there is one final shift that shows whether all of this emotional investment can actually survive outside the exciting moments. Sign 7. The connection starts becoming part of their real life. A person can feel intense attraction while keeping the entire connection inside a world of possibilities. They may enjoy emotional conversations, exciting moments, and the feeling of something developing without actually making practical room for it. But when feelings become deeper, the connection can slowly move from possibility into reality. You may notice greater reliability, more realistic planning, and a willingness to make space for the relationship alongside everyday responsibilities. Instead of only talking when they're bored or emotionally excited, they stay connected during ordinary weeks. Instead of making vague promises, they make actual plans. Instead of disappearing whenever life becomes complicated, they find ways to remain consistent without abandoning their own responsibilities. For example, someone might not have hours to spend with you every day, but they still make sure there is a real place for you in their schedule because the relationship matters enough to deserve one. That's very different from obsession or constant attention. Genuine feelings don't necessarily require someone to revolve their entire life around you. They simply make the connection important enough to become part of their real life. And when you look at all 7 signs together, the bigger picture becomes much clearer. Real feelings aren't necessarily revealed through dramatic declarations, constant attention, or one unforgettable romantic moment. They often become visible through a gradual change in emotional behavior. Someone starts caring about your experience, becomes more intentional about protecting the connection, allows themselves to become vulnerable, becomes curious about the real person rather than an idealized version, handles disagreements with more willingness to repair, naturally considers your comfort and boundaries, and eventually makes practical room for the relationship in everyday life. None of these behaviors can prove romantic feelings on their own, because every person is different and every behavior can have more than one explanation. What matters is the pattern, the consistency, and the direction of the change over time. Because developing feelings isn't simply about wanting someone more, it's about allowing that person to matter more. Attraction can create excitement, but deeper feelings gradually create emotional investment, trust, vulnerability, consideration, consistency, and genuine effort. And sometimes the clearest sign that someone's feelings are becoming real isn't what they say when everything feels exciting. It's how they treat the connection when life becomes ordinary.